Now we're starting to get into the fun stuff. Color. Lots of questions around color, what you can use to color resin, how much you can use to color resin. There are some very common popular items that most people use. There's also a lot of really uncommon items that you can use. You can get really creative when it comes to coloring your resin and things that you can put in it to add color. The main ones being, of course, mica powder and liquid pastes. I'm going to show you the difference between all of those as well as some other ones, and we're going to have a little fun. One of the big questions that I get all the time is how much color to put in. I will admit to you that I don't actually have a great answer for that. Why? I kind of do resin a little bit like I cook. Just kind of add it till it looks right. You will find that the more you experiment, the more you'll get used to how much color you want to put in to get the look you're going for. Obviously, you don't want to put so much color that the resin loses its ability to even cure, which can happen, but you would have to put a lot. There are formulas online. You can Google stuff. You can go find out how much that you should put. There are people that will tell you exactly how much you should put. I'm not one of those people. When it comes to glow-in-the-dark items, like I make a lot of, I actually put a lot of glow-in-the-dark pigment in my stuff to really make it pop. Sometimes I want that color to be super bright. Sometimes I want a little bit of translucency to it. So there's no real rhyme or reason for me. I just put it in until it feels right. I hope that the more you experiment, you too will also come up with something that's right for you. In the meantime, let me show you what all the color options are and what they all do. First up, we have mica powder, one of the most popular things to color resin with. I use a lot of it. There is no real specific brand that I stick to all the time. If I'm looking for a specific color, I will find the color over the brand because they all actually color really well. The thing that you have to keep in mind with mica powder, the word mica is going to mean that that color is going to have a little bit of sheen to it. Meaning if you're looking for a solid black or a solid white, then mica powder is not the way to go. The colors have, hard to show on camera, a little bit of sheen to them because they have the mica in there. So when you add that to the resin, it's going to also have that sheen, that pearlescence. You can see it a little bit in some of the bagged ones. Now, mica powders come in so many different colors. There's a lot of companies that will sell them in these bags. You can get a sample pack with a whole bunch of colors. Highly recommend that when you're first starting out. They are not inexpensive to buy large ones, so I always recommend people to get some of the multiple packs of different colors in a couple different brands so you can experiment and figure out what you like best. There are lots of fun ones that have like a ghost hue or a sort of luminescence so that they change color. Kind of hard to see on camera, but you can kind of get the glow here. There's some color shifting ones. Have a lot of fun when it comes to color. There's so many fun options out there. You can also get powders in a non-mica, which they are just a powdered pigment. Difference with these, they don't have that shine. They're more of a chalky finish. Now you can see how they kind of clump up a little more. So I find that with these ones, you have to really mix. They work great though if you're going for a color that doesn't have a pearlescence to it or sheen. You can get quite a few colors in these chalky sort of just pigment powders. Also some really great options for glow-in-the-dark powders. I use a lot of glow-in-the-dark. You'll find that they aren't all created equal as much as the pigment powders. There's different brands that definitely are brighter than others. I put a lot of this when I'm using glow-in-the-dark. I put quite a bit of it into my resin, and I do mix these with other colors. For instance, this is a nice blue. If I want to add a little bit of this blue mica powder to it, I will do that. You'll just find if you're mixing some glow in the dark with some color, you don't want too much of the color or it takes away from the glow. But I've even mixed up my glow in the dark colors together to get a different color altogether. So have some fun when you're mixing with the powders and the colors, because sometimes you can make some really cool results. The next most popular for coloring resin is liquid paste. Now, these are a more concentrated paste. With the liquid pastes, they don't have that pearlescence look to them. So if you're going for a very solid color, pretty much what you see in the bottle is what you're going to get for your resin. Handy if you want a solid red, a solid black, and when you're doing oceans, it's a white paste you're going to want for doing the waves. Don't use mica powder for waves. It does not turn out the same. You'll also find that yes, you can mix mica powder with liquid paste. Again, have fun mixing. Feel free to experiment till you get what you want. There's also alcohol ink. Now, a lot of people use alcohol ink to color their UV resin because you don't need a lot of it. You're using just small quantities of resin and it can cure easily. I do not use this to color a big batch of resin. You would go through a ton of it. It's good for just little drops here and there. I use it on top of resin that I've already poured. However, alcohol ink can also fade. If you buy a brand that is less expensive, you might find that the color disappears from your project really quickly. I would caution against using alcohol ink as your main source of color in anything for that very reason, but there's definitely some fun stuff you can do with the inks. I just prefer to do them on top because of the effect that they give. Some other items that you can color resin with, there's a lot actually. You can get creative. You can use things like kitchen spices, powdered makeup. Some people use acrylic paint. However, you don't want to use too much of it as acrylic paint is water-based and water and resin don't mix very well. So just use a little bit if you're using that. There are glitters that you can add. So that's going to add some color. I have heard of people using nail polish. I haven't tried nail polish myself. Some things that you do want to stay away from when coloring resin, however, are anything that's oil-based. Don't use an oil-based stain. It will not mix with the resin at all. You're going to end up with problems. Also, any oil-based paint. Don't use oil-based paint to mix into your resins. Another one that a lot of people have tried is crushed up sidewalk chalk. Again, that's going to give you that chalky sort of pigment, so I can see why it would work. For myself, I tend to just stick to the regular pigments, liquid paste, and alcohol inks, and the glow powders. That's kind of what I use, but as I mentioned, you can get super creative, try some other things. That's where fun experimenting can get us some really crazy results. Know that, however, in my experience, the best results are going to come from the colorants that are specifically made for resin. Anything that you choose to mix into your resin that maybe isn't meant for it is going to be up to you to decide if that's something you want to try or not. I would suggest maybe giving it a quick Google. There's lots and lots of blogs and videos out there of people trying all kinds of things in resin. So if you're questioning something, definitely just give it a quick Google and you'll find if it's worked for somebody else or not.